Regular viewers of Off the Bar will know that Weybridge, and in particular the Alexander Public House, is a raging hotbed of football. But did you also know it's one of the great reggae hotspots of the world? Yes, reggae. Well, it is this week, because we welcome former reggae boy and Premier League superstar Marcus Gayle to the programme. Alongside him, Dennis Wise, another Wimbledon old boy who speaks loud and boldly about another of his former clubs, Chelsea. Add that to the regular mix of Weight Watchers pin-up Tony Gayle, ravishing redhead Alan Bentley of Private Line 88, and the lovely Mrs Robinson, otherwise known as Anne-Marie, with her tipping table, and you'll realise that we really ought to be cracking on. It's FA Cup quarter-final weekend, but there's plenty left to look forward to in the league, not least QPR at home to Sunderland, and the next test in their precarious journey towards Premier League safety. Reading Aston Villa is the sort of fixture the term six-pointer was invented for, while Liverpool Spurs is one of the glamour games of any season. In the Cup, Everton will be favourites to progress against Wigan, as of course will Manchester City at home to Barnsley. Millwall Blackburn is much harder to call, but the jewel in the weekend crown is United against Chelsea. Two very angry managers look to their stars to do their talking on the pitch. Those are the fixtures, and this a very wet pub in leafy Weybridge. But there's been a bit of sunshine, a bit of music, a bit of glamour to proceedings by introducing Marcus Gayle. Welcome, Marcus.
Good morning.
To the Saloon Bar here at the Alexander. Now, I say sunshine and colour because I'm really talking about your role as a reggae boy.
Yeah.
Are you still a reggae boy, would you say?
Of course. I haven't got the tattoo to prove it, but yeah, I'm still a reggae boy.
It was a marvellous experience. It must have been 1998, the World Cup, and there you are with Jamaica.
Yeah, it was a great moment for the whole of the Caribbean, not just Jamaica, but to have it, the first English-speaking team in the World Cup was an achievement that we can all look back on with great pride. Yeah.
Let's talk about you then. Formerly with Wimbledon, with a few clubs, but let's start with Wimbledon. Would you say ex-Crazy Gang, or had that gone by the time you got there?
There was a few members. There was John Fashanu, John Scales, Vinnie Jones, Hans Seegers was there as well. So I had, the tail off of the Crazy Gang. So I had a good schooling, and within the first 2-3 months I got properly schooled just by being around these characters, and I learnt so much from them.
I remember Robbie Earl telling me that after his first day's training, he's walking back to the dressing room to see his suit in flames hanging out the window.
Yeah, well, it was that sort of place. I think we're probably the only club that could probably get away with, disrespecting health and safety at a training ground. Doesn't matter who you was, the players, the club, they just made you feel like, you're just one of us now. There's no superstars. Everybody starts from zero and you earn your stripes. And it was a character building period for my life anyway.
Ozzy Ardiles was sitting on that stool a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, was it true that he'd give it all up, everything he's won, including a World Cup medal, for just one game? He said, for just one game, I would give it all up. Would you like to go back?
Yeah. Without hesitation, I would. I don't miss the aches and pains though, or the ear bashing from managers. But no, I'd love to just go back in time. Not as easy as it was, back in the day. But I'll try to keep myself as fit as possible to play the game.
Well, you're dragging yourself out of retirement to play for the PFA Legends Tournament in Barbados. That must be a bit of a hardship.
Yeah, I'll be getting into training pretty soon. Want to be in as best shape I can as possible, just to really enjoy it. Last year I didn't enjoy my time as much because I had a little injury problem and it affected me being out there. So this year I want to be properly fit so I can really enjoy it, and at the same time I'm going to see my grandparents out there and some family members at the same time. But
you're still involved with football on a day-to-day basis. You're a manager at Staines.
Yeah, I left AFC Wimbledon last summer to take up the first team manager spot at Staines Town. It's my first step into management. Really enjoying it. There's difficulties as well with our position in the league at the moment, but I believe we've got a good young side to get ourselves out of it. And it's a learning experience for not just myself, but the club and all the players. So.
How have you found the transition then from being one of the lads to being the boss?
It is difficult. You do miss the banter side in the changing room. Even I'm in there with them, but I've got to detach myself away from that and put my serious head on, even though I want to get in there and start ribbing people. I'm sure they want to rib me as well, but there's a line of respect on both parties. So it is difficult, but I do join in training now and again with them and get involved.
You share a surname, not the same spelling, with our own Tony Gayle. You're too young to have ever played against him, aren't you?
No, but I think I did. I'm sure he... When did he retire? 95, 96?
1937.
No, I wasn't born then. But I'm sure I've played against him, yeah.
And he made a deep impression on you.
I think he never. Probably the other way around. I used to be told hit first instead of being hit. So, yeah, I probably gave him one before he got me back.
Well, Marcus hinting that he was slightly harder than Tony Gayle as a player, but he could never have been faster because you were quite a whiz, weren't you?
Well, I was a quick player, as you and Alan would have seen.
Yeah.
Right. No, I wasn't. Actually, it was all up there. I was very whiz up there, 10 yards, first 10 yards.
You're 10 yards between them. Now I'll say something interesting about Norwich against Southampton.
I saw Southampton last week against Queen's Park Rangers and they lost the game. And I was talking before with Alan, 65% possession of the game. They played all the right football and Pochettino had them playing lovely, all this pressing game. And then all of a sudden, mistakes and it cost them. Now I just wonder how long you can play this lovely football and expect to survive. And they're just after that brief little throw when he came in, when the results went up, now they're starting to slide. This is why I think Norwich are going to beat them at the weekend. Norwich can turn it round. They got battered, as we know, last week, 4-0, Kagawa with a hat-trick, but that was a result that was expected. And normally, Chrissy Hughton's got this knack of, when they do get beat, getting a decent result at home. So I'm going Norwich.
Yeah, and to be fair, Norwich have been good at home. I mean, they've beaten Man U, Arsenal, Tottenham in the Cup, beat Everton the other week. I just think it's a tough one to call. I mean, I hate to sit on Gailey's fence, but if you had to push me, that's where I'd be going. 12-5 the draw. Southampton have lost 8 away. As Tony said, they're perhaps conceding too many again all of a sudden. I think the draw's the value in this one at 12-5.
I'll give you that, which you'll be glad about. QPR against Sunderland, it's escape to safety, not victory, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm not having QPR still, despite that victory down at Southampton. I think, as Tony said, it flattered them. Sunderland, all of a sudden, I know they 2-0 down against Fulham, but they do have a goal threat now, at least, with Graham alongside Fletcher, also Sessegnon. This, I think, will be the final nail in Harry's coffin. I think Sunderland will win this one. They're a big price at 9-4. I think this will effectively doom QPR. They're already 3-1 on to go down. This will be the end of them.
Yeah, it's as I say, I saw QPR last week, and I don't really fit. They didn't convince me, Matt. I thought they got lucky on the day. Rob Green pulled off some good saves late on, and I just look at Sunderland though, Al, and I'm not really convinced about Sunderland either. I thought Fulham were far better than them until Sunderland got into the game in the second half. So it's a difficult one for me. So I'm on the cushion. It's a draw.
It's a nice big cushion, isn't it? Reading against Aston Villa. Only the one goal, the defeat by Man City in the week. So signs of a turnaround at Villa?
Well, I think the big teams just tend to do enough, and that was the result why it was 1-0 for me. We're talking about 6-pointers. This is a 12-pointer because both teams desperately need this, and this is make or break. I still can't divide them. That's why I'm going to go for a draw. If anything, I'd edge towards Villa, but I think the safe money's the draw.
So I'm going with Tony there, slightly edging towards Villa. They have improved marginally of late, and Reading simply concede far too many goals. They do have something of a goal threat. They scored at Everton last week, but they score too often when they're already a couple of goals down. That's the problem with them. It's always this retrieval mission. So if you were to push me, I might have a little bit on Villa, but again, the draw, perhaps the better value.
All right, West Brom against Swansea. If there was such a thing as a merit badge in the Premier League, would you give it to these two? They've done pretty well, haven't they?
They have, but that's the problem. How the heck do you call this one? I mean, you look at the coupon, it's just draw, isn't it? And here's another one. West Brom have been good at home. They've won 8. They've beat Man City there, of course. Swansea, their games away from home tend to be pretty tight. Only 27 goals, both for and against, in their games away from home. I think it's going to be tight. Again, I hate to say it, and I hate to sit on the fence, but the draw again has to be the call.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the safe man. I'm just going to go for a West Brom win because it's at home. Swansea won. They beat Newcastle last week. Newcastle with a better side. This is the difference with Swansea this year. They can play poorly, yet they can still win a game. And they got the trophy in the cabinet as well. But I'm just going to go with West Brom on this one. Just.
OK. Can you split Newcastle and Stoke?
Well, the only thing to me that's in Stoke's favour is the fact that Newcastle have had a long trip to Moscow on the Thursday night. Stoke have been woeful in recent weeks, just won 1 in 8, won 1 away from home all season. but I still think at some point they've got to come good. Now, they're a big price away from home. You can get them with the draw as well at even money. I'm going to hedge my bets and go Stoke plus the draw, even money.
What has happened to Stoke? I mean, Tony Pulis has tried to change the style, and it's not that easy. You know, they try to play better football, they sign better class players, but I think it'll be going back to basics for Tony. I don't think it'll turn away from home because they're so poor. It'll be at home, so I'm going to go Newcastle.
You worked for a short time as a motivator, didn't you? That didn't go
Very
too well.
short.
But can you get enthused about Liverpool against Spurs? I mean, it is the jewel in this weekend's crown.
100%. It's the best game of the weekend, including the FA Cup, as we'll talk about later. Again, Liverpool, oddly enough, going off odds-on against one of the top teams. Tottenham are 3-1, and they've got a decent away record, Tottenham. I just think it'd be interesting what Tony thinks. I just wonder about Tottenham's performance against Arsenal last week, whether perhaps they slightly got away with things. I think Liverpool will score. You know, Sturridge and Suarez on fire, and I think that Dawson and Vertonghen, it's much tougher for them against this two than it is against the likes of Giroud. So I think Liverpool will score. The bet for me, both teams to score.
In the middle of a lot of big games for Spurs, they turned it round against Arsenal. They beat the Arsenal. They got Milan twice. They got Liverpool. Massive games coming up, and it's good because you've got to learn how to cope with big games in successive games as well. I would just slightly go with Spurs because of that 3-1. I'm just looking at it like Alan said, and I'm thinking Spurs 3-1. You look at Liverpool and you think, you know, if Bale gets at that back four, there could be problems. I'm going to slightly go for Spurs, and I hate saying it.
Yeah, leave by cover of darkness. Mind you, they are without doubt the most successful London side in the league. You might have thought it would be Chelsea, but there are problems at Stamford Bridge, as we'll discover from Dennis Wise after the break. Welcome back to Off the Bar. Earlier in the week, I caught up with Dennis Wise, one of Chelsea's favourite sons, and a person in a great position to talk about the club's current problems, even though he didn't really want to. I want to start by asking what I think is the obvious question. It's what you think about your old side, Chelsea. What do you think about what's going on there?
I think, look, at the moment that Benitez has come out and said what he said. I think now maybe it's time that he kind of gets left alone to do what he needs to do, and that, you know, the fans hopefully get behind him. In fact, if they don't want to get behind Benitez, get behind the team, you know, because it's important that the club progress in the Champions League and try and win the Europa Cup and try and win the FA Cup as well, you know. So, you know, if I'm going to send a message out, my only message would be, you know, get behind the team and get the lads going a bit and try and achieve something this year.
Is it easier for you to take a view on Chelsea and other issues because you're not actively managing at the moment?
It's very difficult, you know. You look round, and obviously the situation there is very difficult in what's happened, and a lot of things. In fact, because one of my closest friends, you know, in football, Robbie is gone from there, and I ain't going to harp on it. It's happened, and things happen in football. But you know what? It's Chelsea Football Club. It's in my heart a little bit, you know. It still is in there, and I want them to achieve things, and you know, all you can try and ask for is get behind the team and nothing else really, without harping on of what's happened over the last few weeks, and hopefully they can achieve what they need to achieve.
Is there a parallel to be drawn there between yourself and Robbie, in that you're both out of the game at the moment but obviously waiting to come back?
Yeah, look, at some stage I'm sure Robbie will come back into the fold in some capacity, whatever club it is, and obviously myself, if the right thing came up, yes, I would as well. But you spend a bit of time away from it, and sometimes you look at it and you think, right, okay, what kind of position would I want to do, and you know, and what team, and it's as long as it was right, I think you would come back into it. But if it wasn't, then you just stay away from it.
Do you think it's getting more precarious now than it used to be, this management game?
I think it's becoming a bit difficult. I think it's more the press people, the ones that make this tick over and bring it all to the fold, you know, by some of the things that they write and put pressure on the managers nowadays when they don't achieve what they should achieve, you know. But I'm all for giving managers a bit of time, you know, and not jumping on the bandwagon and trying to. I think get rid of them as quick as possible, you know, because you want to go into the football club, and it does sometimes take a little bit longer than you expect, and sometimes you just want to be a bit patient with it.
Dennis Wise talks management. 4 football experts around the table now. Myself, credentials, don't need to mention them. Can't remember them, actually. Tony Gayle, former player, a prophet of the punting world. Alan Bentley, but only one manager, Marcus Gayle. So you get the question first. I mean, you listen to what Dennis had to say. Do you go along with it?
Yeah, I do go along with it. I think obviously the press, they can generate, you know, the atmosphere at any grounds. They've got the power to do that. And at the same time, they can do a lot of healing as well. But you know, at the same time, the manager's got to do his part. But fair play to him. I think he was right to stand up for himself, and another response.
Definitely, but yeah, I agree with you. You've got to stand up for what you stand up for. Now, if you were David Moyes, the Everton manager, and you're looking ahead to the visit of Wigan, you'd be reasonably confident, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they should be going into that game fully confident. Their form is very good at the moment. I'd expect David Moyes and Everton to pull through.
Prophet?
Well, Everton third favourites for the Cup at 5-1. I think Everton will win. Wigan tend to pick the second string if they can pick a second string. Everton have lost just one at home all season. The thing is with Everton, though, and this is copped through so many times, they keep conceding. They win games but keep conceding. And again, you can get 9-4, both teams to score, but Everton to win in this one. Happened against Oldham, happened against Reading last week. I think it could happen again. That's the value for me.
Yeah, I think it's one where you've got to watch the team sheet as well, Matt, because in the last round, Wigan rested all their players, and the league is of paramount importance. You've got to stay in this Premier League. I think he'll probably rest 5 or 6 players, Martinez, and they wouldn't have won it anyway with their full team, as I see it, because Everton are the better side. So I think this is a not bet for Everton, but not at that price, though. Everton to win.
OK, here's a junior entry-level question for you. Do you think that Manchester City will beat Barnsley?
Well, I think there's a fair chance. This is very important, the FA Cup now. When you start getting knocked out of Champions Leagues and you're 12 points behind the Premier League leaders, Manchester United, I think Man City will wipe the floor with them, Matt. I think it's just a matter of how many.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at Barnsley, the mini revival has ended. They haven't won in 3. You know, Bristol City put 5 past them the other week. I mean, City, this could be anything, depending on how many City want to run up. City favourites of the Cup, worthy favourites, and they'll romp this one.
On Saturday afternoon, Millwall are up against Blackburn Rovers, and at the same time, we are going to a fringe theatre to see Macbeth, because my 12-year-old is studying at school in New Cross.
You couldn't pay me enough to go to either, to be honest.
But it's the same time.
I don't go.
Anyway, it's beside the point. Millwall or Blackburn?
I'd sooner be down a New Den. I'll blow Macbeth out. It's a tricky one. I mean, this is 50-50. Both teams are not in very good form in the league. Appleton's gone into Blackburn. He's got problems. He's got to get about 10, 12 players out. He's got a huge wage bill. Kenny Jackett has sold his best forwards, Wood and Henderson, and they've just, you know, dropped like a stone through the league. Anything on the day. I would go a draw, and then we'll see who's going to win it up at Ewood. But I couldn't divide the two of them.
I'm going to go with Blackburn simply because of some of the players they've still got in that squad. They've still got a sprinkling of quality. They're in a wrong position. Gailey's just said that they've sold the best 2 strikers. Millwall, I can't see where the goals are coming from. Not a great game, one to avoid. Not Macbeth for me though either, but Blackburn at the price.
Well,
Macbeth for you, Marcus?
I won't be going anywhere near it. Staying away. I've been Billericay. But I feel the advantage with Millwall at home. Yeah. I think a difficult place to go to anyway, no matter who you're playing. I think they'll just about sneak through.
OK, we move on to, well, the best of these 4. I don't know if it's the best of the weekend, United against Chelsea.
It's a great time, Matt. I mean, Chelsea, again, they need to put a bit of silverware in there. He's in the same problem as Mancini. Is Benitez. That's why all the pressure of the newspapers is coming upon him, and senior players are on him as well, so he's got to sort that out. And at the same time, he's got to try and win a big football match at Manchester United. I think United will beat them. I think United are really going to be spurred on by what happened in midweek. They were the better side, and tactically, he got it spot on, Sir Alex. I don't agree with what everybody's saying about Rooney, he should have been playing or whatever. Remember the first game in the Bernabeu? He was poor. And he's not his best striker, Van Persie is his best striker, so he couldn't afford to play the 2. So I think Sir Alex got it spot on, and he will do for this one. United for me.
Well, United for me, but I do think Rooney will play. He's still odds on to stay at United next season, 7-2 to leave. Paris Saint-Germain are the bookies' favourites as to where he's go. Then you've got City, Everton, a massive price. I think he'll start. And just for a bit of value, a bit of fun, I'm going to have Rooney to score at any time at 6-4 in this one.
What do you reckon, Colleen, to say?
For me, I think through history, Chelsea as a bogey side at Old Trafford that might have a role to play in there. Offside goal. It was a goal though. But with Man United having the experience of the other night, the defeat, I think there will be a big backlash and a commanding performance. I don't know which way to call it on this. I'll probably see it as a draw.
Lads, thanks very much. We were taking the mickey out of Tony a little earlier for having a lack of speed. We won't believe how fast he gets to the tipping table.
That was quick, Tony.
Well, I told you not to talk about our sex life on here, didn't I?
OK, guys, you've just been talking about this week's fixtures. So what are your top three for this weekend, Alan? What's your three?
Sunderland against QPR. I think Sunderland can win. They've got more of a goal threat. I think this could be the final nail in QPR's Premiership coffin. In the FA Cup, a bet that's caught for us in recent weeks. Everton to win, but both teams to score. Everton can't keep a clean sheet. After what's happened midweek with Wayne Rooney in the game at Old Trafford, Rooney to score any time, and that's 6-4. Do them as singles. If you want to put them in a treble, pays about 25 to 1. So we're trying to find a bit of value here, aren't we?
That's it. So here's the value this week. Man United to beat Chelsea at 4-5. Norwich to beat Southampton, because I wasn't convinced about Southampton at QPR. I've been gone there last week. And at the bottom, I've gone West Brom Swansea. I've gone for a draw because they're very difficult to separate. That pays 13-1. Back them all individually and one cops, and you maybe get your money back.
Well, let's just hope you're a little bit more lucky this week, Tony, because...
Nothing to do with luck, I'm just useless.
What, in the bedroom?
Uh-oh.
Told you, no!
Marcus, what's your top three?
Well, my top three, my treble, I'm going to go for a Liverpool win at home to Spurs. I'm going to go for Southampton versus Norwich with a Southampton win. I feel that they've got quality players in there. And then in the FA Cup, I'm going to go for Everton versus Wigan. Everton win. I just feel that they're comfortable in the league.
Yeah.
They can relax a bit and just play some entertaining football as they've been doing all season.
Brilliant, thank you.
I've just been looking back at the bar at a bit of the film we did with Dennis that we didn't show. You're going to like this. I work a lot with Tony Gayle. I mean, is there anything that can be done for someone that size, or is it too late?
Carry on drinking, Tony, and getting bigger, mate. You ain't gonna. It's not gonna change for you, mate. Honestly, it really isn't.
Can't let him get away with that.
Can't go. Well, that comes from a man who's had a pup named after him, a nasty little 5-footer. No, I love Wazzy. He's had such a good career, didn't he? And I think he made the real most of it as well, and played with some super players at Chelsea, and that was still the best Chelsea team I've seen, although it didn't win the league. Best Chelsea team.
Anyway, look, there is hope. You can do something about the immense weight problem that you have, and we've got two people here who are going to help you. Marcus, Mrs. Robinson.
Balls.